I first read the topic for this presentation, I thought, what's the difference between monsters and outcasts? Wouldn't most monsters be outcasts and outcasts be monsters? For example, Gregor from the Metamorphoses. He definitely seemed like he was a monster and an outcast at the same time. So I thought of ways to differentiate between the two, and that's when I realized that those that we're calling monsters were based only on their appearances. So through this presentation, I'm going to mainly focus on what makes characters monsters. I will introduce two characters that only look like them, and another two that truly are monsters for certain reasons that I think makes them deserve to be labeled as such. So to start off, who I introduced earlier, Gregor, was definitely a monster when looking only at his outer looks. He has a hard, head-shell-like back, brown belly, multiple legs, that has no way to communicate to his human family. Although we do not know about his exact appearance, imagine waking up one morning and finding your son having turned into a big, large bug. Gregor, wake up! Breakfast is ready. Gregor, I'm gonna come in. What the? Would most likely be a but what if you could actually see what was actually going on inside of him? So even after the transformation, the thing he was the most worried about was that he was going to miss the train for work. And after realizing that it was physically impossible for him to go to work or go back to his human form, he stays under the couch not to scare his family. And never once does he blame his family members for the way they treated him because of the metamorphosis. So even after the transformation, he was still the same Gregor that loved his family the most and had worked hard to take care of them. So was he really a monster? I don't think so. Now, next up is Enkidu from the Epic of Gilgamesh. So he is a half-human, half-beast, very hairy, and a very muscular monster. He was created by the goddess Aruru and placed randomly in the wilderness, so he was raised by the animals in the wild. Now again, if you were to one day see a big hairy beast while you're walking in the woods, this is how most of you would react. Such a nice day out today. Not too hot, not too cold, great sunshine. Hey look, I see a holy, again, reaction, but this is also only based on its visual. Yes, he does have this thing with Shamhat, the prostitute, but hey, who could blame him? But other than that, all he was doing was just living peacefully in the wild with the animals, maybe even protecting them from the trappers. And even after he meets Gilgamesh, he's his best companion and a friend. So again, was he also a monster? I think not. Now, let's move on to the real monsters. First up is Gregor's father. So in the story of Metamorphosis, he does not turn into a bug like his son did. However, he's an unkind, hopeless man that lost his job and was forcing Gregor to provide for the whole entire family and even to pay off the debt that he had created himself. So even after, and he was making Gregor do all of this without any appreciation for him. And even after Gregor's transformation, he has no sympathy for him and only cares about the family's finance. And Gregor's father does not even care to think about how it's his own son that he's trying to kill when he beats Gregor back into the room and also when he throws apples at his back. So, and these are all because he sees Gregor only as what he looks like, a monster. And the second monster is Gilgamesh. So he's known for being the strongest man, handsome, brave warrior, great builder, 2/3 god. And he goes on a journey with Enkidu and apparently becomes a great king. However, before you come to that conclusion, you should also know that he was a very cocky and a selfish king. And the worst of all, he forcibly took, for his sexual satisfaction, the daughters of the warriors and also the brides that had just gotten married to basically, So this basically shows how he treated all the warriors, servants, and warriors as those beneath him. So the conclusion that I came to after finding out about all this was that he was actually the monster. So from these four characters, I'm sure you can see what I meant by those who only look like monsters versus those that truly are monsters. But before I get into my conclusion, I want to talk about one last character. His name is Kino. He is the main protagonist in the novel The Pearl, which I read in my ELA class. The story takes place in a Mexican village called La Paz, and Kino is one of the natives there. So, although Kino is in a normal human form, unlike Gregor and Enkidu, belongs in the same group as them, and here's why. So, in the story, Kino is a hardworking, determined man that loves his wife and his son more than anything. But he and his natives are treated poorly, as if they're some kind of monsters by the European colonists based on their race and the color of the color of their skin. Now, as returnee students, I'm sure most of you have gotten those eyes, at least once in our lives. The eyes that look at you as if you're weird, as if you're different, as if you don't belong there, as if you're a monster. Those are the same exact eyes that Kino got for being a Mexican native, Gregor got for turning into a bug, and Enkidu for being a hairy beast. And these eyes tend to get stronger as they spread to other people, and they become sharp needles that can go deep into their hearts. So here's what I got from taking this course. So I learned that those who may look strange, weird, or different can have the most kind hearts and be the most honest, and that real monsters live in the inside. And so most characters we tend to call monsters are just merely outcasts, and the reason why they're outcasts is because they're seen as monsters. So in other words, if others just saw them as who they really were, without the use of the eyes, then they would not be monsters nor outcasts. So be careful when using those eyes, because the real monster could be you. Thank you.